page number 11. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the myriad perspectives, I take refuge in the Buddha, and all sentient beings. All sentient beings be pure and harmonious in cosmos. All sentient beings be free from suffering and cause. All sentient beings be free from purpose. now associated to my fire, your eyes, this ground, mountain, snowy flowers, wild mirror, encircled by four continents, surmounted by the sun, I visualize this good field and all the beginnings of your spirit. Yang Guru Ranam Nada Kame Nadayame.
그거 근데 참바도 참 뜻이듯이요. 자, 다 먼저 이런 거.
Picture unmute. Kama chukua. Kama chukua. Isla, Ude. Sonda. Que vizinhantes, cara. 저게 고음이다. Victor, can you talk? Can you say something? Hello. Ding. Unmute다. Hello.
코드 공면이 그때도
아,
그 이거 동면이 그때도
I can't hear you. 고음도.
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
There we go.
Squad. 딱 고음. 가만히 있고. 야, 쏜다. 야, 고우드, 야, 쏜다. 네.
기도 제일 더 쉬워서
고우드. 야, 쏜다.
No.
짠데 그거 야.
Hopefully it's loud enough.
야 참말로 쇼핑하고
Gisela ke chungudu. Gisela ke det siya doon. Oh yeah.
다 고대.
Tama din ke chungachi doon doon. Ini 근데 최초 맞아서.
What's that?
Yeah.
That's the game that.
딴데 그대. 다
네, 따요.
녹소야. 오늘 정말로 먼저 이런 다시 들으셨어요.
It has been quite a long time having to see you all, and so how are you doing?
Good, how are you, Tenzin?
근데
Good to
단단
see you.
땅아조 때 간도 저 땅안에 곰로 트니 다 같은 거 망쳐 동반이 그 돈이 꿀시요 그래. 돈데 받고 그 조대 비남 정말 생활소 단단들 저금돈 조금즈네. 곰텔라 곰을 봐 이니시에 고 곰이다 저금 세대 아니 지식라 삼로 땅이 티 닐리 간다 지네 탁세 땅이 차지고라 세마양아 지네 멋트네 탁세 땅이 차텔라 저금색을 한통색을 아니 이 강식 소소 하고한테 semna 마제바 진 텔라 세직도 냠버장니 텔라 네댕 네차텔라 아니 조금 세고를 다티야 찬통벌는 신이 세고라 어떠지 못주지라
Well, let's back to our normal Dharma business, Dharma practice. Let's say we are we have been, of course, we're going to continue to talk about the meditation, and meditation particularly aimed to prepare ourselves to understand the ultimate nature of reality, the shunyata, the emptiness. So we know that the way to understand the shunyata, the emptiness, we have to master the knowledge of the two truths, the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. And the more specifically speaking, in terms of how to meditate on and comprehend or realize the emptiness, we do have to focus on the meditation itself, the meditative technique itself. With respect to the meditative technique, we know there's two forms of meditation: as the analytical meditation and the stability meditation, or common abiding meditation. So what's the difference between the common abiding meditation or Shinne meditation and the analytical meditation? I'm sure that you have we have discussed about this, and you more or less have some clue at this point what I'm referring to. Well, let's say, so you pick up a particular object of meditation, meditative object. Okay, you pick up, you choose a specific object, and you're going to use as the object of your meditation practice. So then you brought in and then place all your mental capacity, your awareness, focus on that very specific object, okay? And to the point where you find that your mind is being solid and sort of completely stabilized, right? So it's to the point that it's unwaverable, right? So it's been emerged the aspect of the meditative the concentration, where that you see your mind is become single pointed, right? Or you can single pointedly focus on that choosing meditative object. So that is the features of Shinne, or the common abiding meditation. And then, so then what is the analytical meditation? The unique feature of analytical meditation is that once you successfully achieve that point of a single pointedness of the mind, and then you direct that all the mental capacity, again in this case, is awareness. The awareness is the discriminative awareness. So then you direct all your meditative the discriminative awareness that you developed, which is at this point is combined with the common abiding state of mind, then analytically investigating, examine the nature of what the ultimate nature of the object that you have been meditating on. That is the unique feature of analytical meditation.
다 때도 조금도 조금이 기고니 냠버 잡도 경위 유튜브기 값은 냠슬 렌스는 튼슴스 임미 기우동 시송데 어쩌르 여마 시와 잠시 신앙클라 요라스 벨라 여마 회len스 따랑당 양터 니리 당보는 데 코나닐라 로카 마쇼비 머토바 잠 시경와 네차 니치 langwi kapsu nangwa wamuntu charwa tawo tang yang tendi tse rakangso to de chichi chakpe nangwa tawo tang jamchun tawo tamil number charwa namla kapdi gimi to me te di kapki gima charwala jiti tang demba rishi ki kiba hontan rogi wi shiro ngarupa ngashi chetang kanzo yama songwi tsil kwena dishang talang nangwa tar talang gi tongwa jint kewa pamela soba kanzo nangwa kanzo ti tongwar hongkum ki chinchi so te tagna nangwa te ti tongwi ton dolas tebjint malam mugye sokla chongra jordo datala dawar shati kewa tang pamel so te tang ti tong shiwa ton te tang ti tela me shina te che te tang teme te giro yang yona rangla yogiwa wali rangla me pishiro tewe na te taki gaksha sama shesin chang chil lagpar ma shirwa la teni dagme ki skutun chamla chani yama tang malam soksu songwi tun shinchil lot zongwa gaksha chal lagpar ma simba gaksha kagpi nig shiwi tse ji tsamar dripa zongsa me pishiris ditse tertar shonkin shetsil so kanyang jaksa me pa manyepi tun kowali tetake nawa waminti sharwalani jime tun mete tena deme topa tak nangwa kundub ki tawa kiwa mashiwi kyon osi tabozna.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Please go to your copy of translation, page 135. Okay. We're going to read in the middle, and the subtitle says how persons and phenomena appear like illusions. How persons and phenomena appear like illusions. Once we have understood both analytical and formal meditation in this way, there is a technique for taking the practice to heart in the post-meditational period, as the text says. In the period between sessions, be a creator of illusions. In general, the mere notion of illusions is accepted by everyone, Buddhists and outsiders. But there are two ways to take the analogy of illusions, that things appear like illusions, or that they really are illusions. The artificial way in which things appear like illusions, some people not inclined towards understanding things as they are, when searching for the way in which things exist, maintain a state of a mere non-conceptuality. When they arise from a meditation, appearances emerge indistinctly. Moreover, at such times, the substantial, solid, impenetrable appearance of mountains, buildings, houses, and so forth vanishes, and they appear translucent like smoke or the clouds of the rainbow. Appearances like this are not what means by illusions, for things appear as illusory. In this context, there must first be a refutation of true existence by analytical awareness, which with respect to the basis. The way some earlier scholars explained the persons and the phenomena as being like illusions was to use the common analogy to assert that just as the pebbles and sticks that the conjurer uses as the basis of his illusion appear as horses and elephants, yet are empty of being horses and elephants. So, although men, women, and so on appear to be persons, they are empty of being person, and although the mental and the physical aggregates the sphere of sensory cognition, the basis of the cognitive faculties, and so forth appear to be as they are. They are empty of being such things. Similarly, they asserted that everything is like a dream, a mirage, and so on. This interpretation should be questioned. Let me see, maybe that's it. Yeah. Next one.
dan di kar tono dodo sunangira yokoda mashikira kitongani ta tongila nyambar jagdona nyamjig ngola ne ta tongeyang tama to jangkan sharko mar kunzupe dongwa chasang kanrugo ra nga to zigdaru chasama ka ne tongbi yang tela nyambar jog so nawa kang yo mar ta gomtani ya lang ni nyamjig ni ya lang chini 튼섬서 니 곰자원 튼섬서 다 nga도 니도 사이도 chama 통고 통에 나와도 담저니 만음도 야마도 곰고래 저니 녹나나 송 청직도 송요래 된자 다 만음도 야마도 곰땅도 간다지 그래 저니 어따 땡듯이 잡을지.
Well, as you can tell, this is a bit hard, and the subject we are dealing with is quite subtle. So anyway, to the best of my interpretation, what we needed to know, or what the author is trying to inform us, is that it is supposed that we all meditate on the emptiness, the ultimate reality, right? And so we experienced the actual, let's say, the understanding or realizations of ultimate reality in the profound the meditation or meditative equipoise. Okay, so we were suppose, let's imagine we were at meditative equipoise, which is directly, that's the that is the result of focus on or meditate on the emptiness itself. So at some point we arise, and we end our meditation session, right? So at the post meditative equipoise, or the period of post meditation, the meditation is again meditate on the meditation was focused on or directed to the understanding of the emptiness. So now here we are at the post meditation period, and us just like we wake up, right, from the previous evening's night's sleep. As soon as we wake up, right, and we encounter all these forms, sounds, and all the five objects, sensory objects, right? That's kind of unfolding and appear to our sensory perceptions. So similarly, while you are in the deep and the profound the state of meditative concentration, or in other words, you are meditate on the shunyata, the ultimate reality itself, where all the sensory perceptions being cut off. Okay? So you are basically is free from this dualistic reality, right? So you will only focus on or meditate on the emptiness itself. There's no conventional phenomena such as the sound, colors, forms, and so on and so forth is involved. So it is empty, right? You are in the state of empty from all those conventional phenomenological reality. Okay, but now you arise, right? You end your meditation session. Now you are in that post meditation period. So at this moment, what the author is trying to tell you or tell us, teaches us, is that how, right? Now you kind of reconcile, or how you sort of emerge to the new state of realization, right? Or continue some kind of the realization which you gained, right, in your meditation, and then interacting with this conventional world, right? So the way to taste your knowledge, taste your the authenticity of your realization is that whether it's determined by whether you experience this normalcy, which we call normalcy, right? The conventional phenomena. Now it turns to you, appears to you like illusions and dreams. That's all.
Also, what in Sata and Dela Yamata on Josetela, ko Parubin, Nobacabata, Susan, Japan would. Parubin Dobajon, Yamata was it so only Kachin, Yamato, John or so kind of additionally, Tatamong to a Chawati or so on it, but Chababo Korang Tatamong Tungu or the Tatamong Tonga, then Deborah Tungoli Mamba, Toro, the Rich Tongan, some Tongormato. Zani Tatango, the Shankatana, Tatango, Yomara, Mepa Nanzi, Sambotona, Dukiomars. Zani, Temichadu, May said the Temishik Yomar, yours, and no one to yours. No one to your tongue to country, Zimosotani, Chitamchikatana, Tato Zani Sona, Mopa Sip Samsona, Minipitombi and La Pan, Mata Mashipi Molap and no one music Chitam to Yimbi, how I may be only pa. 샤와시트와시 조트고레스 어디 그 조트시고 파쇼티 잔네 예미 빌랑한테 잔네 달랑라 소바 메와낭진 데디 본조 노아 잔네 메바 마레스 요레스 어디 킬레나 노송레 때마 노아 잠도 요바티 노아 잠도 요바티 기마 징긴 코런 게 노아 잠도 코라는 거라 노아 잠도 코런 통통와 농진 가라도 치탐지 지톨리 야랑에 오르서 노아 잠도 요바티 선배도 동고레 다 노도도 시고 Dordina.
Even though it sounds much complicated or very hard to make sense, but I guess the simplest way to avoid the mistaking or misunderstanding of the use of the analogy, such as illusion, and is this. By the way, as we noticed in the text, right, the author and tried to point out that with respect to the interpretation of illusion, right, and then there appears two different the opinions or two different views. And one view, that's the other's view, not our own presentation. So the other schools, particularly previous, the interpretation done by the Tibetan scholars in all the time previously, according to the author here, and they got wrong, or they misinterpreted the connotation or the significance of the illusion, right? Or the use of, they failed to use the illusion as the analogy. Okay. The way how they did it is this. So the example being given is the conjurer or the magician, right, who on the stage, right, who is performing and his tricks, right? And so he used all kinds of sets of tools, right, to help him to create that illusions, right? And some of the tools that he used is such as like pebbles, okay, or stone and a little stone marble, and sticks, and some other objects. So let's say he used those tools, right, and then created on the stage something from the audience point of view, or it appears to the audience, right, below the stage, is so true or appears as real, to the point where even though in his hands on the stage or the tools which he used is just pebbles and sticks, but what the audience is seeing from downstairs, from the stage below the stage, is the images of horses and elephants. Right? That makes them so excited, because that's appears to them is real, right? But we know the conjurer or the magician, from his point of view, or for him, the images or the appearance of the horses and elephants are not real. Right? It's just pure, mere illusion. So he's not fooled by what the audience see, the images or the appearances, even though he was just have that he made it up, this scenario, created such an illusionary scenario with the pebbles and the sticks, but he's remain aware of and clear. And now, from an audience point of view, of course, that's real, because that appears to them is what's really going on, right? So this is the problem now. All the time before, and the author's time, and the ancient time, let's say, the scholars, when they translate or interpreted the usage of or the significance of the illusion, they say just like there's no such thing in reality. The elephants never really existed, right? And so do the horses, right? Never ever really existed. Similarly, in the same fashion, and then their interpretation of illusion is they apply to the real situations such as a mountain, horse, a house, right? And the real world, like the man and the woman, and so on and so forth. And so they apply this illusion, the analogy of illusion, to everything, then denial the existence of our everyday reality, right? Because they made they misused the analogy of illusion to assert that there's nothing real at all, right? And then the only conclusion they're drawn is become something that's nothingness or absolutely none. So this absolutely none or nothingness, of course, we know it is the core of the nihilism, right? So the way to correct the correct understanding, the way to correct this misinterpretation of illusions is that even though we know, right, we know that the appearance of the horses and the elephants which appear on the stage, and we know it's not real, but we know they are not real in the sense of lack of or devoid of any substantiality or inherently in it or embedded, something that's concrete, embedded into that very images seen by, observed by the audience. Okay, so because we know at this point it is an illusion, right? But the very appearance you experienced, you have seen, right? It's not, you cannot deny, right? That is absolutely never ever happened, right? So when you be able to differentiate this, right? Illusion and things are like illusion, or pure illusion and things are like illusion, then you will know how to combine or how to make this the conventional appearance, right? To make it to kind of as a reminder, or to as a reminder, as the kind of agent, right? And or as a reference point to remind you of the ultimate nature or the true status of that very appearance. Okay? So then you will not deny the mere appearance, but you will not trapped in or fail to misinterpret or misunderstand the appearance as reality. Okay. So the point is, when you're able to see appearance and recognize the appearance as mere appearance, but lack of or devoid of inherent existence, and then you got the you will clearly see you got the reason, and you have the reason, and to respect those appearances. And this, when you take this to the practice of a karma and other Buddhist teachings, and then you know that when you're able to respect the appearance and be able to differentiate between the pure, something that's pure illusionary, right, and something that's like illusion, and then you know that appearance are You need to respect the appearance, and therefore you need you would appreciate the very functionality of the law of karma. That's all.
어떤 자다 getangba ndoro dishana ane 타직 때들라 뎀버 드파레 지도나 뎀버 드파나 남은 유럽에 봐 용 유럽에 와서는 그때나 답이 다 통하래지 엔 타직 요 말에 동바레 짠 동바레 세트 짠에 메발고 소이나 찹이 달라서 땡이 많은 답이 달라마 찹이 달라마는 왜니 기들라 네트워크 땡이 기들라 네발라다 가르지나 뎀바니 유닐이 또고 하고 그 치탐직에 땅나 안에 치 탐질라 딱수정을 때 내반이 경우 내 월수고 내반이즈는 건조 가서 너무 잠도 치 탐지 요바 만으로 왔대 렘리그 남성 탐지 좋더와 돈든 내빙올라 봐 딱돈 짠이 소나 랑진지 접박 매바 때닌 종화적인 봐 딘디지 섬나가 셔트와이나 아니 저런 딱다가 내반이 오 땅내 아니 타니 땅 잘위에 위라 네트와이나 오다 오늘 땅내 오메 따와서나 된종고 돈 하고요. 우리 따라 있었다.
So now let's working on some more sort of a technical aspect of this very topic. Or in other words, let's talk about the same topic, but with a more advanced technical languages. Like I said before, so the way to understand the ultimate reality, the shunyata, the emptiness, is to understand the two truths, the system of the teachings of the truths, ultimate truth and the conventional truth. Why this is so important regarding the understanding of the ultimate reality. We know that the two truths essentially is to the teachings of the two truths essentially is to help us to avoid two extremes. The extremes of eternalism and the extremes of nihilism. The extremes of eternalism is like this. When someone who maintain or simply 100% trust on the face value of the appearance, like and they just take whatever appears to their sensory cognition, or the valid sensory cognition. If they 100% trust and absolutely believe what they're seeing is as it is, right? Which is in the sense like things in it. Okay? If they believe things in it, things are objectively and absolutely within it, just the way how it appeared to their senses, right? Appear in their mind or their sensory perceptions. For that person, that very objects which appear to him or her is changeless, right? Is conquered, is independent, is unitarian, right? Is solid. So when you give the full credit to what you've seen that is, and truly trust to believe that it is solid and that it is concrete, that is Unitarian and exist under its own way, then you fell in extremes of eternalism. In other words, you fell in the traps of the eternalism, right? Which, of course, we know that's not the case. And by contrast, at the same time, right, your study, your analysis, your practice, right, in terms of understanding the ultimate nature of reality, right, leads you, right, supposedly, eventually leads you to the point where you cannot appreciate the law of causality anymore. You cannot really inspired by the Dharma, the teachings of the Dharma with respect to the law and the cause and the effect, right? And then you don't know how to respect or you find no reason, right, to follow the law of causality, right, and or respect the moral ethical aspect of the teachings of the Dharma, right? That is the sign, and that clearly shows that you are now you are someone who fell in the extremes of nihilism. In other words, he or she is trapped in the extremes of extreme view of the nihilism. Right. Now, this is the point. As the Dharma practitioner, what do we need to do? So our task is to stay in the middle way, the middle way view and the middle way philosophy, right? So we need to remain in the middle, right? The Madhyamika. The beauty of the importance of the absolutely the critically important to be remain in the middle, meaning between the extremes of eternalism and nihilism, is that you see what appears to you, okay, and you acknowledge what is sort of appeared to you or get your attention. But be in the middle, right? And then you acknowledge that very appearance, right? But you knew that is a mere appearance, right? At the same time, and you fully respect, right? And the value or the importance of that mere appearance, right? And so then at the same time, of course, you understand the ultimate reality, right? So this being in the middle of the two extremes would enable you, it tells you to fully appreciate how the conventionality and the ultimate reality are sort of collaborate, or how the interplay of the two truths, right? How they are interacting, how they related with each other, and so harmoniously, right? And by seeing this, and you will fully appreciate dependent origination. Okay, things, events which appear because of the causes, conditions, right, or relate to, depend upon something else. But at the same time, you knew, because it depends upon or related to, associated to something else, the conditions, so therefore it is empty of inherent existence. That's all.
Alright, 다 아니 기통다 디 감바가 통다 로모 정통 전부다 됐어. 좋아하는 용기다 싸와 그실람도 그솔라다 무스게 지 소라는 용기 좀 말해. 이나 조 능비치 호 정거 사면나 당보 냄바질라 고아 차고르지. 렌즈 때라 고아 고 차나 드니 타와카도 지 상자지데. 고 정아이나 아니 다다 로지 로타바지 요레지.
At this point, and of course, I fully acknowledge that to some of the audience and here today, this conversation probably is a little bit off the topic, maybe, and or even doesn't make much sense. But I'm sure for those advanced practitioners, for those of you been here a long time or you haven't been exposed to the Dharma teaching for a long time, you know that's make perfect sense. You know, it is a very beautiful thing. And but could be discouraging for some of you new relatively to this kind of a profound subject matter. But nevertheless, and I believe you will get there, and you definitely would be able to fully appreciate the very conversation we are conducting today here. I believe you can do it. And so here's my recommendation. First of all, just like it is generally speaking, it's a tradition for all the Buddhist practitioners or whoever wants to understand about Buddhism, anything about Buddhism, or the profundities of Buddhism, and who has to start once on the quest for searching the Buddhist, the meanings of Buddhist teaching by focusing on the Four Noble Truths, okay, the teachings of Four Noble Truths. And then move on and to understand the Four Seals of Buddhist teachings. So once you understand the Four Noble Truths, teachings of Four Noble Truths and the Four Seals of Buddhist teaching, and laid up some kind of laid out some kind of a solid foundation, and then the very conversation we just we did would make definitely would make a great sense to you.
That's the total. Only
So we have about we have about a half hour, and I would like to take questions or anything.
Thank you for teaching today. It's really good to have you back.
The Mac, if you're close to the Mac or somewhere in the Mac.
Speak louder.
I had a question about so the middle today when we were talking about the 11 illusions. Is there a big difference between the middle way school and the mind only school? How they interpret that, like a illusory? I guess our illusory experience of things. Is there a big difference between how they both tackle this question?
Illusion and things like illusion?
Yeah.
전타마로 저것이 노동시고가 따와 또 직발을 넘동동 가거서
주마킹이 중앙이 건데
뭐 저도 전타마로 진짜 노출 노아레스라 선노동동 또 따와장도 따위 오마세 오미 타적동데 또다 쳇다지도 적동데서 만들어와래 된다 또 소원에 좀 땅 사보로다 진짜로 돈보노데 오마와던 샘잠바니로 근이 좁아 먹어줘 샘잠바가 아니 오마와 최정을서 아니 추로 돈기 접에 나와요 말에 참아 샘기 당니도 샘경원에 파르와래 샘 덴버 벌써 샘 잔에 손에 똑똑된 손에 그런 근데 내버 들어 요래 내미 셈을 접이 당데 셈 경에 자주 파는 너와 좀더 저 데이터 안에 그런 거 다 어머워. 그만도 바로 치료도 요벌은 좀 손나 치탐지 치료나 요벌 사마이나 딱비 탈라 정도 아니 자 자네 셈지도 셈 랑지지 저 매버 동에나 딱 차비 탈라 정도 그때 자네 어마위들 킬린지기요. 어마위나요. 런지 바동 탐조는 이게 좀 말로 왔어. 딱 말로 이나 어마위 단위 잠도 요버 킬린 바동 런지지 저바 세미 탐지 동바이 런지지 저베 동바레스 단위 잠도 자주 자투 거레스. 아니 저로 돈지 동와도 저로 단위 잠도 자투 거레스. 근데 지금 나와 켜버들스 군이.
Okay. Yes, all the Buddhist, four schools of Buddhist and has their own different presentations. And so each of them claim their version of the interpretation is correct. Or each of them asserts that they are the one who is totally free. Their
It's
view
11
is
o'clock.
totally free. It's totally free from the two extremes of eternalism and extreme view of the nihilism. So, in other words, their view is the Madhyamaka view, is a middle view, middle way view. And they posit, right, establish their own system regarding what is the correct or the middle way philosophical view or not. Now let's focus on two things among the schools, and the most difficult are the two schools, or the most difficult to understand the views which challenge us is the two schools of philosophy, and that is Madhyamika philosophy and mind-only school philosophy, or the Chittamatra school of philosophy. Okay. So let's talk about whether the mind-only school philosophy or Chittamatra is talking about how they claim they are the one and have able to successfully avoid the two extremes of this philosophical interpretation of the ultimate reality. And the way they claim the followers of the philosophers of the Chittamatra mind-only school, they claim the mind is inherently established or existed entity. In other words, the mind is real. Right? So the mind is real, and mind is a substantial entity, right? But whatever you see externally, right, or anything other than the pure mind, so when you see the things are out there, not the mind itself, okay, such as like forms, colors, sound, taste, whatever. So anything that you appears to be by themselves or operating under their own way existed by themselves externally, then Chittamatra say, or the school for mind-only school for mind-only philosophers say, that is illusion. Okay. Whoever claim the objects, right, or things, or events that exist objectively outside the mind, that is and even believe it and then believe that's true, that is the individual or school philosophy who now fell into the extremes of eternalism. But by rejecting or asserting that the phenomena which externally does not exist externally, okay, other than mind does not, is illusionary, then according to the Chittamatra, you are avoid the extremes of eternalism. But at the same time, by claim or asserting that mind is true entity, mind is a substantial and is the entity which substantially existed, is true, real, then according to again Chittamatra, you are the one now to be able to avoid the nihilism. And now let's move on. What the Madhyamika says. Right? Madhyamika, or the middle way school of philosophy, again, we know that there's two of them, right? And the Baba Viveka's system of Madhyamika, right? And or Pasangika and the Pasangika Madhyamika. And yes. So now, all the Buddhist Madhyamika schools, philosophers agree that, right, the things are events, right, does not exist at all, either the mind, mental phenomena, it doesn't matter, it's fell to the categorization of a mental phenomena or the external physical phenomena, right? Internally or externally, either way, it doesn't matter. So as long as you be able to assert that those phenomena, any phenomena, right, internally, externally, mentally or physically, they do appear to you, but they are merely mere existence, or they are merely exist as a noumenal, a term, right? They exist with respect to as a from the functionality point of view as a term, right? But does not or lack of anything substantially or attached to that very term, but rather is the empty of any substantiality, any inherent the features or qualities. Then according to the Madhyamika, both the schools of Madhyamika, you are be able to avoid the extremes of nihilism, right? And at the same time, of course, the Madhyamika philosophers believe that you see the things as a mere term, right? Mere appearance, but you appreciate, right? And you respect the functionalities of that mere appearance, a mere term, and then you are successfully be able to avoid the extremes of nihilism.
This one.
No, sir.
Chitang semzambala 좋았던 좋았던 semzamba 결혼 안에 치탐지 치료도 마르바이나 치노지 직던 탐제 매버 킬링 고 마르웨스 대주도 점바 마르웨스 어떤 때 랭가를 잡아서 대교용 말 좀 섬치고 말해. 니 쿠이더스 물론 나라 안에 직든 탐지 나온 거라. 일 서비스는 참아매 와차. 떠나진 직든데 나랑 초롱 나랑라는 거 직든데 노지 직든 탐지 니 나와리 잡아링아 시야던 냠때 우차니 니 남시 가던 냠때 나 나지 직든데 탐지 매 와차로 그랬어. 니 산는 물론 매 와차는 지금 말이지 렌트 잡여서.
Okay, so some of you might wonder, just like the others, non-academic, the Chittamatra schools, right? Philosophers and other schools, the philosophers from other schools, they challenge the Chittamatra school, the mind-only school. They say, according to you, is the very logical answer is that there is nothing really exists externally at all. So therefore, it's so you just completely denial, right? The existence of the phenomena and how you explain it. So when the other schools, philosophers from a different school ask the mind-only school philosophers, the answer is, say, don't you worry, okay? Don't you worry. So just like when you go to the fell to sleep, right, and land up in the land of your dream, or and you started your dream experiences of the dreaming, then you know that things or events are pretty much sort of is the event you become in the scenario in the world where it's very eventful, right? So you have to engage in, you did engage in, it's like the way normally what you do during after you awaken or during your awaken time. But as you can tell, right, said by the schools of Chittamatra, the mind-only school, says, as you can tell, as soon as you wake up, you know anything, everything, whatsoever that happens during your dreaming period of a dream, in your dream, all of them are irrelevant, not true, and was illusion, right? So similarly, right, and no, even though you under this, you be confused with this experience that it seems very solid and real in your awakened state of life, the daytime and the state of life, but the experience would be the same, right? When you go into reach the point of a death, okay? And let's say when your last breath, the last breath of your breath be cut off, you're dead, right? Then everything that was so true, so real, right? Externally existed by self externally, they are completely dissolved, right? Just like you going to die, everything, all thing that was so true to you until the point of your last breath. But as soon as you're dead, and your version of the universe or everything is completely become like a dream.
지워진다.
야,
그래서
오케이.
I was just wondering if we could explore these ideas with regard to the analogy that we had in the text of the magic show. So in the first case, you have the illusion of the horses and the elephants. It's like shadows on the wall. That, you know, in the analogy, they say the conjurer uses pebbles and sticks, and that creates shadows on the wall, and then the audience sees that as horses and elephants. So in the first case, it's like
like mind only, you say, well, that's assembled in your mind, that perception of the horses and elephants. If you go up to the wall and look, it's only shadows. So you say, oh, it's an illusion, there's nothing there. But the other point of view says, oh, actually there is something real. The pebbles and the sticks that cast the shadows are actually real. So it's not totally made up out of nothing. It's constructed of something that actually does exist, but we're misapprehending it. We don't know the mechanism of it. So in the first case, you're focusing on just the fact that it's assembled in your mind. Your mind makes this reality of horses and elephants. And then you say, well, I can't talk much more about that because when I look at it, it's just shadows. So I'm only going to concentrate on how those shadows get interpreted as a description in my mind. Whereas in the other case, you say, oh, it's still an illusion, but it actually exists, but it doesn't exist in the way that it appears to. So does that make sense as a way to separate those two points of view? One's looking at the mind and the other one's looking at how the conjurer is making the illusion.
Good decision. Yeah, that's good.
And then the second
그런
one,
게 고난당이라.
and then the second one, it doesn't arise dependently. The illusion isn't independent. It arises dependent on the shadows, dependent on the stones, dependent on the angle of the light, dependent on the darkness of the room, and dependent on all these other.
Yes, yes.
So it's dependently arisen in the Madhyamaka is my simple
Yes,
understanding, but thank you, David. So I think that one's a little difficult because we don't see illusions like that in our culture.
Yeah, but isn't it the problem that you take the illusion out of the pebble and then you've still got a pebble?
That's what Madhyamaka says.
Yeah,
That's-
illusion도 가르고
which isn't real either.
It's real, but it's not in the way we initially,
But that's the problem,
See.
yeah, is recognizing it.
Yeah, if you see that within a continuum of time, that pebble then also has its own illusion. So, before it was part of a big rock,
Right.
but then it got rolled down off the mountain and polished in the stream, and that part of it we're not considering. We just see it as that cross-section of the time, pebble. But pebbleness doesn't exist either. So,
yeah, not essentially, not inherently, not eternally, not of its own arising.
eventually pebble becomes sand.
Exactly.
Yeah. 당진은 가랑로 있나?
Professor 지워집니다.
안에 그 역수도 심 농인도 역수 동도시라. 밸런스데.
Yes, I personally believe the way to solve the problem is to think of the movie.
Professor, can you read your questions, please?
So the question that I have is, I would appreciate any help clarifying the transition or shifting gears from single-pointed meditation to analytical meditation of an object in focus. For example, is the strategy to single-pointedly focus on the object and on questions asked in mind that analyze, such as does the perceived object exist in the way that it appears? Asking question upon question, but holding the answers in questions in single-pointed focus. The strategy of holding analytical meditation in a single-pointed way is still unclear to me.
Okay. Since it is a very difficult question, so I refuse to translate. Okay, I'm kidding. 거기 따라가서 이제 신의기 물과 경강되네. 아니 활동의 물과 장강 이게 평소대라 아니 카포고야 카포고야 다 주르고 서로 카 주르비 주르비 감정이 이게 아니 강아지 책도스 아니 따담고 배치는 다 신의가가 아니 수수게 지금 신의기 물과 지원에 안데 gom ani de la ten je ani di sansi ba je ani de ni jizasna la de jiteng gane ani da je hodong sna da jegung go zu ngo wa sita ne lu to be ni rishi na da karyona de da wa na de cha ko ishni ge jitan di gala ni ngo chhe tham je ngo sna ne lu di je ba je 이 제버 제위 깜달아 거기다 텐다 뭐지 누가 나한테 안에 로하 차송하시 신이가 그 누가다 아니 소통 그 누가니가 아니 이나고 누가 니다인지 말에 나 카보고 하면서 것도 되 가르스 카교 보는 아세 네 때다다 신문에 놓고
그렇죠. 배나 형제 타우즈 공개나 공개는 형제 당보 형제 공모서 아니 심지 탐지 등은 됐나 선배 삼로지로 와 심지 등은 됐나 선배 삼로 때라 쓰치던 냠을 저기 영어서 런징가 다 건조 비셔고 때 고면 때 삼나 마지바 젠네오나 때 신이로 와때 삼지 니와로다 조금으로 와 조금 전 따티 제소 안에 지질라테 네 맡아보 건조 가르치는 심지 탐지 내왔던 내나 삼로 고군도 지금으로 쏟다 그나 심지터 다시 냠지 고니 고바다 근데 예르망아든 사우던 삼든 또 심지탄 대화던 고고 나랑 대화던 된 고도와 대화던 도나 심지탄 나랑도 직발인도와 근데 다 셔르브지 때 쪼당 지고니 고고 푸이 셈니교텔라 지산로 배 담보치니 소아치니 시용고 때다 때 한통으로 다때라 쇼바치자 제스치크 땅도 잡아 요마 냥지 정도 셈때 능어당 단나 삼바 때 삼로 고명으로 때 강라 능은데 젤리 제고 김싱가를 아때 파 쇼바지르다 때 나랑 다시 냠지자당 예리 망가든지 고니 곰바이나 어다 심자들 같은 첨보에 바 마르시와 전전전조 세때 때 강네 파 습때 삼로 땅네 심지탄 능었다 잖아 삼비 삼로티 마양웨이 거네 어다 때 곰구이 김친로 파 소소 삼나 담보조 지르 때 땅때 준비 카트 머타바 곰구나 머타바인 지때 까치까치르지 차티 인 아니 간다간다 임바테 코텔라 당보 맞다가 봤을 때 같이가 전지비 차야 봤다 공고 저와 맞다가 로즈기는 가도 기위 타만 통 치지 임바테 니와치니 삼동나 맞다가 다티 기위 아마 저와 이게 간다 책으로지네 달 한통 검주도 때 같이라 지소지지네 아니 노바키니 이메나 독타 저르지 뭐 있어야다 조직치 뭐 나시거든요 샹 이제래 가르지는 가도 노비겨 세데르즈 마토 요마르 세텔 같이라 로다워트는 신루로 하시니 다 한통군의 수바체 뜻들지르지 고 가지고 말지.
Okay. If my interpretation of your question is correct, and then so the here what I the think about your question. So essentially, this is the thing. So it seems that you got the focus of the choosing focus of the focal point, and for Shine, the common body meditation, right? And is one, and supposedly that you established on that focal point, and then and you successfully and achieved the single pointedness, right? And then so use that as a base, and then you go examine or explore the nature of the subject matter of the nature of the reality. It seems there's kind of a two, the focal point is involved or has to be kind of separate the object of meditation. But in reality, it is not. Here, I give you an example. You can use it and to see how one, by focus on one and object of meditation or meditative object, then you can complete successfully engage in the both stability meditation and analytical meditation. Let's take example of practice of compassion. Right? Here you are so inspired, right, by the idea of compassion, and then so now you, of course, you've been inspired by that very altruistic mind, which we call compassion, right? So once you are inspired, you sort of your entire state of being take over, or you are very compassionate to the mind, which fully placed you into that mode of the state of the compassionate being, a state of being, then you are there. Okay, you are there. So now what you need to do is remain, right, and single pointedly stay focused on that very altruistic intention or the mind of compassion. Stay there, single pointedly, right, and until you reach you go through of course the 9 stages, right? All right. 9 stages of Shine or the Kamabhaya meditation, and then you reach the final point of that's a single pointedness or equipoise of the Shine itself. See, that's you start with compassion, right? And you end up with the compassion by the means of single pointedness, which means common abiding, without changing any subject matter or the subject of object of meditation, right? A focal point of your mental concentration. Just remain focused on compassionate mind. Maintain, stay focused. Okay, and then yes, so you're done. You become single pointedly in the state of meditation, just like you've been arised at the moment. From the moment now you are stabilized. Right. So your entire state of being of mind is the compassion, and now you are single pointedly there. Well, then yes, that's how you get there. But the way to get there is at least you have 2 techniques. One technique is called the 7 points of the cause and the effect, or 7 point of consequential instructions of cause and effect. Another is exchange self with others. Let's say you're going to use the 7 points instructions of cause and effect. You began to think about the kindness of your mother in this lifetime, or the hardness and right, the sacrifice she made to raise you, right? And then you go on, so recognize, right? Recognize mother as mother and kindness of the mother, and then develop the idea or the thoughts of want to return the kindness of the mother, and then so you want to bring the joy, something's happy to her, and so that's the measure or the kindness, and then the compassion itself, then altruistic intention, and then finally, right? That's the compassion itself or the bodhicitta. So now that's the one technique. Then the other technique is the exchange of self with others, right? So whichever the way, this is stay focused and go through the point by points, and then finally maintain in that state of compassion.
아까 어떻게 오늘 영지 세트 동덕가르스 오늘 심지도 능을 있잖아 삼바삼도로 대코티 동남 바탐지도 점들로 거든 영지 고무스는 같이 가르스는 심지도 능을 있잖아 삼삼도로 어떻게 야지 당하게 때 가르치니 공고래 심지 탐지 능을 있잖아 가르스 삼도 공고래잖아 다 소소 롱이라 담다랑이 대화 동 능을 동잖아 삼삼도와 디당 나바도 수인 잡죠. 때 나오지는 삼치 통마씩 바래 삼노 통에나 아니 랑진 것고 뭐 일도 그게 능을 있잖아 서면 땀을 땀을 거.
That's right. So, yes, the essential point is here is that you aimed in your mind, right? There is a strong, a clear the aspect of your mind is which is strong and clear. That is the separation of the sentient being from the suffering, right? The idea of wanted to, okay, or wanted to help everyone, all sentient beings, separate them, take them away, or free them from the suffering. So that's the very goal, the goal of the separation, the separating the sentient beings from their enduring, the sufferings that they're enduring. That is the essential point. That has to be, right, this should be the starting point, and then maintain, right, and then all the way through, right. So this is how you start in one point, that is separation, right? Separate, how you can separate it, right? You wanted to separate the sentient being from their suffering. That's the focal point. That's the singly pointed, right? Singly pointed mind. So that mind is singly pointed and focused. One thing, that is a separate. How can I separate this? What would it be great? And able to separate all sentient being from the sufferings, right? So that focal point is there, right? And the single point is there. And then at the same time, like I said, if you adopted the 7 points of cause effect in the teachings, then you go through each step by step, right? But it remain, right? Maintain that very essential point of separating the sentient beings from suffering, and then you go through each step. So see that the focus is remain the same, but analytically, right? You are now and justify your reasoning, right? Your reasoning, the validity or the justification and of to be very compassionate and to help all sentient beings and free from the sufferings, right? So just here you can clearly see both stability or karma abiding meditation and the analytical meditation are beautifully combined, right? And without sort of switch off, and the change of the object to meditation. So same too, like yes. So at this point, whatever the technique you choosing, and so like choosing the 7 point of cause effect. So you have to remain focused, okay, without your mind being distracted or interfered by excitement or lethargy. Right? And then another example I can give you is, for instance, if you want to meditate, choosing meditation, meditate on the impermanent. Right? Here again, the focal point of your meditation of impermanence and would serve the both, right? Serve the both purpose of attainment of karma abiding meditation, and as well as the analytical meditation, right? How you do it? So you begin to think about the meanings of impermanent. It means like the things, events, everything, right? That's the kind of changing or evolving moment by moment. Right? The first moment is cease, and second moment and kick off, and then second off, the immediately cease, and then third one is kick off. So this is just like there's a sequence of the single, each single moment, right? And the one after another. There's not really anything in between. But what you see, what you focus on is a single point, a single moment of changing, right? You focus on that. At the same time, you clearly aware of and noticed, and that that very single moment of changing is taking place, and they clearly reveal, right? Clearly indicates or the point to the nature of the phenomena, which is lack of any inherent qualities, right? And so this is so true to you, and especially if you personalize this technique into your own scenario, say, oh, I'm a person, I'm a human being, I'm here on earth, so one day I will die. How I die? Because of the nature, I'm dying because of the nature of this impermanence, right? How I die is, again, it's a single moment after moment, right? And then reach to the final, the point of the last moment. So when you're doing that, see, you focus on this changing for the single moment, and then at the same time, you also fully realize that you see something which called a special, you develop a special insight that is because of the, again, it's a momentary thing. The nature of phenomena is a momentary, and by nature it's a momentary existence. Mere existence, the status of existence is a momentary. So therefore, it's lack of anything that's compared inherent.
Ja.
So that's the end of today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la Kunga, and welcome back, Tempa and Tenzin. Good to hear from you. If you would like to make a donation for this teaching, it would be greatly appreciated. And you can do that by donating for the center and for our translator, Tenzin. You can do this by calling 812-336-6807 or by emailing the center at tmbcc.kcl@gmail.com. For those of you in the temple, I'll pass around the, excuse me, the begging bowl. And if you would like to make a donation, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you cannot, a prayer or a mantra in the bowl is perfectly okay. All right, thank you.
Sena Kondo Ya Sankare Tancho Shiye Musu Tabente Yahweh Ngabe Hansan Tenye Kaje Tsayan Dobar Majur
나무를 못 넣었다, 맞아. 나무를 못 넣었다. 너무 너무.
We'll say the Lumbering prayer on page number 80.
쓰다.
Alaso Duce, yeah.
그냥 어서 지마티고 때까지 찍었어.
Okay, Gisela, I want to talk to you about the next week, the recitations or the class, and so anyone,
This was not hard to do it.
wants to watch it. So Gishila asking like today, as Gishila, as we discussed before, like when Gishila back, and we will continue our sadhana, the Chinrisic sadhana, and we were saying like maybe we will do this at 9 a.m. and finish at 10, and then later we'll continue our class as usual. But Gishila, I think this is our first time. And what do you think? Is it too early, or do you have any kind of like suggestions, comments about what we should do next week? So it's a good time. The 9 is good time.
Yes.
Okay.
I know I was late today, I'm sorry, and I might be, but being that I'm gonna go back to Colorado for at least a few months, I don't want any changes made to accommodate me.
Okay.
Speaking of which, is that going to, like, this morning, was Victor able to join us via Zoom? Will I be able to join you via Zoom from Colorado, or?
Yeah, like I will open the Zoom at 9 a.m.
Okay, perfect.
If nobody come, like after 20 minutes, I will close.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
today, I just opened and nobody came, and I close. But anyway, I will open up, try, and open, and if nobody come, I will close. So if you cannot make it in person, you can join through Zoom. But Gishila want to have any suggestions, rather than we just decide.
Thank you.
근데 nomba들 송 삼지마 냠대 시기하는 너에 정말 오르르 공부하던데.
So the idea is, of course, when you first engage the recitation, you might say very quietly because you are kind of not sure what chanting and you don't want to make any mistake. But you've been saying with us, and I've been, you've been saying with us, and most of them. So, and you've been in the monastery how monks they chant. Not only just chant master, saying loudly, but fellow monks and nuns and whoever participate, they saying loudly. So I want you to be engaged in the kind of like the movements of that very energy. Maybe make it louder, say it louder, rather than like to say louder.
What if we mispronounce though? Is that okay?
So the local modulo na kayo this.
다 당부 저기 연나들 저 지당다 그럼.
Yeah, like no one is perfect at the beginning. So first time maybe you make mistake, but as you say loudly, you make mistake, then you can correct yourself. So important is to say it loud with the chant master. But
맞아 얌초라 노풍하는 것은 nomba들도 엄주고 동보 개첨보 얌된 거 지금 오늘 때문에 참아겠더니 봐 이런지 정말 그렇지 이런 걸 썼어.
we have saying in the monastery, when you say the chanting, it's like you throw the rock in the oceans. Like a rock is like a chant master. First, he will make that vibrations, and then it will carry, farther and further like you.
So we can be like one of my favorite memories was the little boy, like one of the young monks was just like, Dharma! Like he was so happy and loud about it. It was so cute.
Yeah. And also when you say it aloud, you also maybe listen with the chant master.
No,
So you won't going too fast, too slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let one line, let the chant master kind of set the pace and get
And
the
then you
tune
go
and everything,
together,
and
yeah.
then
Go
join in.
together, yeah.
Okay.
정말 실종 호마 기돈 유들리 요르와. 저 들꼴지는 또 참아 수수 시작을 개첨보 진년대 또 타와나.
Yeah. If you ever record our teaching, and you can listen, you can practice, yeah, it will also help.
나네요.
I have a
Get some
copy from the Chen Rizig retreat
네.
of Tempa And it's everything except for, I think it doesn't have the praises of the Lama, that part, that last part on it, but it has the rest of it. So if anyone make a phone or an email list or something, and I can